Hello and welcome to KITE's Introduction to Python Coding. My name is Arman Shah and I am the Vice President of KITE. This lesson is based off of the Python for Everybody textbook, which is linked in the description. It is written by University of Michigan professor Charles Severance, so thank you to him for allowing us to use his textbook and his curriculum. So to get started on Python, first we have to understand how a computer functions and how code works. So the main part of a computer, which I like to think of as the brain of a computer, is the central processing unit, or CPU. Now you might see these stickers on your laptop or computer, Intel, maybe AMD, and you might wonder what it is. Well, really what it is it's the chip, the CPU that's inside of it. It's the brand name of the CPU, and they really are the main operator in the computer. It's the thing that's asking the software in your computer what next. It's asking what next, and it operates the parts of your computer. So now we are going to go into memory, and there's two types of memory: main and secondary. Main memory is something that doesn't get often referred to as much. Think of it as temporary memory, and you might have heard RAM before, random access memory. This is what main memory is. So it stores information temporary, and it's very fast than secondary memory because it stores information while you are working with it rather than storing it permanently. It's temporary memory, and once the computer is turned off, it kind of resets that memory. Secondary memory, this is what people believe is storage, and you see as storage in a computer, storage in a phone, in your laptop. When you see 250 gigabytes on your iPhone or any phone, that's what secondary memory is. And you might see a terabyte. Both main and secondary memory are measured in bytes. Now we have input and output devices. So an input device is any device that you plug into your computer and sends information into your computer. So for example, your mouse. You move your mouse, you plug your mouse into the computer. You move it left, the cursor moves left. So it's giving information from the mouse to the computer. Same thing with the keyboard. You type some characters in, and it sends that information to the computer. Output devices are the same thing but opposite. So you plug them into the computer still, but the computer takes data and sends it to the device. For example, speakers. The computer takes data and sends the data to the speaker for the speaker to show. And same with the monitor. The computer takes data and sends it to the screen for the visuals to show. And now network connection is anything that connects you to internet, and this is simply just Wi-Fi. So now these things all work together, and your job as a programmer is to orchestrate each of these resources to solve the problem that you need to solve. So for example, you pretty much write a line of code, and this line of code you're going to send to the CPU, the central processing unit, and it uses all these other things, the network, the input and output devices, and the main memory to get your response, your desired response. So again, this is stored instructions called programs, and the act of this is called programming. There's different programming languages. The one we're going to be using is Python, but another popular one is Java, which you might have heard of, and C++. So Python, the reason we're using Python is because it's more of a beginner-friendly learning language. And throughout this course, you'll learn the Python vocab and syntax, which is like the grammar and the type of words you need to type to get the computer going. Because the computer understands Python as its own language. So you really have to understand and learn the language. So Python vocabulary is very limited. It's very small, but the computer understands a certain number of words called reserved words. So if I type a reserved word, like an example of a reserved word is true, then Python will understand that as a word as true. For example, Python has very limited vocabulary, and they only have one specific meaning to Python. So each reserved word, which we'll learn more later, will serve as a distinct meaning to Python. And one important factor of why I'm teaching you this right now is because you could create variables, just like in algebra, how you assign a specific value to a variable. So for example, you could say that the number of tacos is 9, and you could also just say you could also say x is say hi. So you could assign any word almost to anything, and you could have it equal that. But you cannot make a variable using a reserved word, or else Python will get confused. So you cannot say true equals 10, because Python sees true as a reserved word. Python sees true as being true and not 10. So this is a list of reserved words. You don't have to study all of these, and you don't have to memorize any of them, because as you learn Python, these will become second nature to you. These words are, again, specifically Python's words, and Python takes these words, and if you were to type it in a Python program, will understand it as whatever that word means, which you'll understand these definitions soon. So we said before, in a few slides ago, that programming is a set of stored instructions. And now you might be wondering where and how you store these instructions. You actually do it in documents called text editors. And no, it's not like you wouldn't want to use Word document or Google Docs to store your text. There's other applications out there that you use, and a popular one is Microsoft Visual Studio or Anaconda for Python. But an easier one for beginners would be Replit. So Replit, we focus on to use in school chapters where you don't have access to these applications, because sometimes some schools they have blockages to downloading certain applications. So Replit is a website, actually, not an application, where you can code. So it's an open source website where you can code. You can follow these steps, and I would recommend logging in. So we're actually going to log in right now. So we're going to log in, and you could simply sign in. I'm already signed in here. So you could create an account, sign up, you log in with your Gmail, maybe whatever really. You can navigate this website, try to get the feel for it. But when you're creating a Replit, which is just a document, you actually have to choose Python, because they have a lot of languages here. So just make sure to choose Python here, and they have a name. You could name it whatever you want. They have a default name for you. Create the Replit. Okay, so when it loads, you'll have this screen over here, and this is your document where you're able to code it now. So on the left you have this document right here. On the right you have your console, and your console is your result of the project. So for example, the first line of code you're going to learn is print hello world. That's the first line almost everyone uses. Now if I print this, which I'm going to press run, the console will now print hello world. Now, remember when we said that there's reference words, Python vocab? For example, true. And it understands true as true, so you cannot say true equals, let's just say hello. You'll get an error message when you say this. Cannot assign true to hello. Why? Because true is a Python vocab word. If we use another variable, let's say x, this should work. And now it assigned x to hello. Obviously, there's no output here. You're just assigning x. You're not telling it to print x. But if I said, for example, x equals hello world, print x. Now that would work. Thank you for listening to this section of the course. If you aren't a school chapter and want to download a text editor application for Python, there will be a video posted on instruction on how to do that. For the meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. at joinkite2@gmail.com, or join our Discord server in the link below. There you could access our Google Slides, all our videos, the textbook, and even talk to other members of the KITE community about maybe if you have any questions or any concerns or any input there. So anyways, have a nice day. Thank you.